Luka Doncic, the young superstar from one of the top NBA teams, the Dallas Mavericks, has the potential to even be the greatest of all time. Although he doesn't have any considerable playoff victories as of yet, he's well on his way to become one of the all-time greats. But along with being great, he's also passionate about the game, and people get on his nerves quite often. We can see this as people have had small beefs with him. Let's take a look at the top beefs he's had with other players. The annoying Patrick Beverley. In the Clippers vs. Mavericks series in 2021, Luka's continued to talk shit about Patrick Beverley. As we'd all seen, Luka was putting up monstrous numbers against the Clippers, and even though they lost the series, Luka had carried his team right until the last game. Luka had to score against the likes of Kawhi Leonard, Patrick Beverley, and Paul George. Whenever he scored on Patrick Beverley, he either pointed to the ground, hinting that he's too small to guard Luka, or just outright said it. Since Beverley already regarded himself as an all-star defender, this was a real challenge for him to stop the young Dallas superstar. Beverley had to face considerable difficulty in guarding Luka as he had dominated his team the entire series. Luka can be visibly seen shouting, "He's too little," at the camera after hard drives going right at Patrick Beverley. Apart from this, in Game 3 of the series, Luka was driving up against Rondo, who went down and drew a charging foul. When Doncic was going to protest the call with the referee, Patrick Beverley started leaning at him, blocking his way. Patrick Beverley believes that talking smack and nagging the other player is an essential part of the game, and he uses small things to annoy his opponents and throw them off. This was one of the ways. After that, Luka and Beverley faced off, and Luka just kept smiling at him, not letting Beverley get under his skin. There were no technical fouls called on the play, and both players resumed the game. Besides this, many other players have also had beef with Patrick Beverley. It seems that the Clippers guard gets under the nerves of quite literally everyone in the NBA. I guess everyone has their own way of throwing their opponent off and playing defense. Joe Ingles and Donovan Mitchell beef. Talking trash before games is actually a great tactic, since it automatically gives you an edge before the game starts if you can manage to get under your opponent's skin. Luka made use of this tactic back in April when Joe Ingles and Donovan Mitchell were shooting threes before their game against the Mavericks. Luka went up to them and started talking trash to them. Although the exact words couldn't be recorded, Joe Ingles said what seemed like, "I'll see you in the game, kid," to which Luka just turned back and went to the tunnel. The game ended up being very competitive. However, Donovan and Ingles were both visibly annoyed and motivated to go out against the Mavericks much harder than they normally would. Some healthy trash talking made for a very fun and competitive game to watch. Doncic vs. Miami Heat and the refs. While playing against the Miami Heat during the 2021 season, Luka was having an incredible game on both ends of the field. As the half was ending, Luka played some great defense against Dragic and forced him to miss his shot badly, which was collected by the Dallas superstar. Luka then led the fast break with only 7 seconds on the clock. Luka accelerated towards the other end of the court and crossed Bam Adebayo. As he was driving towards the rim, he was seemingly fouled on the final play of the half by Kelly Tyler Olynyk. Luka didn't get a call on this play, which was the cause of frustration for him. He lashed out angrily at the ref, screaming, "That's a foul," while his teammates had to physically hold him back. The referee had to give him a technical foul for his behavior, and he had to calm down before it got worse. As a neutral person watching the game, it did look like a foul to me. It was even more frustrating for Luka because the Heat were going to get possession in the next quarter, which meant that Dallas had wasted a whole play. Even though they were up by 15 at the half, Luka was frustrated. This shows the competitive spirit of the young fellow and his will to play basketball. The sequel with Morris. Luka Doncic and Marcus Morris Sr. already had existing beef, which I've also explained in an earlier video. In Game 5 of the Mavericks vs. Clippers series in the 2020 playoffs, Luka had an ankle injury and was limping in some parts of the game. As the game progressed, Marcus Morris had to switch on Luka several times and went head-to-head against the Dallas guard. On one play as he was guarding Luka, it looked like he intentionally stepped on Luka's injured ankle to cause him harm so that he'd be unable to play in the series. At that point, the series was tied at 2 games, 1 for each side, and Luka was the top performer for Dallas as usual. Luka was frustrated at this and talked to the referee about giving him a technical foul. Marcus Morris later apologized and cleared up that this was not intentional at all and was a genuine mistake. To this, Luka responded that he hopes it was a genuine mistake and not a dirty tactic, because unethical things like these should stay well away from basketball. Moreover, this year Luka's been seen going against the Clippers by himself again. He's been guarded by Marcus Morris Sr. several times and has been talking shit to him. He can be seen shouting, "He can't guard me." No. After scoring 3-pointers and drives on the veteran, Marcus Morris responded to this in Game 7 of the series when he cashed in with 8 3-pointers to beat the Mavericks. It was truly a treat to watch the both of them go against each other with everything they've got, and it made up an amazing matchup for the world to see. The Balkan Battle. Playing against the Clippers in the 2021 playoffs, the Dallas Mavericks were manipulating their matchups a lot with the Clippers. This meant that Luka got the weakest defender on the floor who he could easily score on. The pick and roll is an effective tactic to manipulate these matchups, which is what the Dallas Mavericks were using. There were a lot of times when Ivica Zubac switched onto Luka to guard him. As we know, the guards these days in the NBA are shifty, and it's difficult for a 7-footer to guard them. The guards are simply too fast for them, and they have a hard time keeping up with the speed. In this series, whenever Luka scored on Ivica Zubac, he shouted the words "Don't switch" at the Clippers center to provoke him. This competitive spirit makes games personal and more close and fun to watch. It was healthy trash talking and only went on as far as the game. There was love between the both of them when the game ended. Luka Doncic against the Raptors. In the first quarter while playing against the Raptors in a game back in January, Luka was going back and forth against Norman Powell and Stanley Johnson and was having a physical game with the Raptors. Towards the end of the game, the Raptors tried to put a full-court press on Luka so that they could shut down the Mavericks guard and contain his scoring. A full-court press means that the player defending you will be very close to constantly nag you and throw you off. Such a thing happened as Luka was getting an inbound pass after he made a free throw. As he got the ball in his hands, Stanley was just too close to him. To make some space, Luka swung his elbow aggressively, catching him as well in the process. This should have been called a foul, and Stanley was visibly frustrated as he tried to make Luka fall without fouling him. As Luka was dribbling against him, trying to cross him up, the play ended as a timeout was called. Both the players had heated words for each other, with each one having complaints of their own. Stanley Johnson started clapping in the face of Luka, and he got a technical foul for that. As the game resumed, the Raptors started double-teaming Luka Doncic to make him miss more shots and continue the heat of the game. Luka ended up playing great, but the Raptors still got the win. The rocky relationship with Kristaps Porzingis. The Dallas Mavericks thought they cashed in when they signed the 7-footer from the New York Knicks, but it just hasn't happened for them yet. Although he's had amazing performances, Kristaps Porzingis has had very little to say as far as the playoffs are concerned. During the playoffs, the only shoulder Dallas has is Luka Doncic, with almost no help coming from his teammates. This has reportedly made him frustrated, as he expects his teammates to at least be average, if not extraordinary. Porzingis was particularly invisible for large stretches during this year's playoffs. Over 7 games versus the Clippers, Porzingis averaged just 13 points and 5 rebounds, failing to score in double digits in games 3, 5, and 6. He shot 29% from 3, 0 for 5 in Game 7. As Doncic, who often appears reticent to involve Porzingis, has come to control every aspect of Dallas's offense, Porzingis has grown unhappy with his diminished role, per ESPN's Tim McMahon. Porzingis has been frustrated, often feeling more like an afterthought than a co-star, as Doncic dominates the ball and the spotlight, sources told ESPN. However, despite the small beef, both Porzingis and the Dallas Mavericks look like they're not going to part ways anytime soon. However, if they keep him, the coaching staff will have to see to his complaints that the ball isn't moved around that much, and that he isn't involved in the play that often. With Luka continuing to ball out every single game, frustration is sure to mount as many players have a problem with the great players. Which beef did you think is the craziest? Tell us in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more NBA content.